Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a radio listener, we are rolling footage from NBC News Local in the District of Criminals with what looks like about a 75-year-old vet with others being attacked with a baton by riot police dressed up in bright blue UN-style uniforms. And I've got to say, these riot police literally look like something you'd expect from a UN army. They look like a bunch of social workers in combat gear, but UN blue. It is amazing. And I've been watching the live feeds. We're adding them all to Infowars.com right now. Infowars.com has a lot of the feeds. DrudgeReport.com has a lot of the feeds. And we're trying to condense them all down to Infowars.com with my Skeleton Sunday crew, who's doing a great job trying to get it all together. But actor James Woods tweeted, and we retweeted it at Real Alex Jones, that thank God for the riot police to deal with 85-year-old World War II vets in wheelchairs. Thank God for them protecting us. What would we do without them, to paraphrase his tweet. And now Kit Daniels is posting, the video is posted in his article, Breaking Riot Police Confront Veterans as They Liberate Memorials. War veterans remind Americans how to resist tyranny. But Kit's doing a whole separate article right now. This just broke 10 minutes ago. This is happening now as riot police came up to vets and told them to get out of the area. When they wouldn't, they start ramming them with the batons. And then the 75-year-old vet, I'd say that's his age, actually attacks back and shoves the UN-type police back and then start cowering in fear. It's amazing. They go up and start fights, and then I guess I've never had anybody push back against them, and so they flip out. This is incredible. We're going to be covering that. This morning, we began to post the articles on PrisonPlanet.com, on Infowars.com. Paul Watson, Kit Daniels, Kurt Nemo, myself, began posting articles and videos of the vets showing up by the tens of thousands in different areas of D.C. It wasn't very coordinated, which is good because it's organic. And they were just everywhere, tearing down the wired-shut barricades. Tearing them down, removing them, piling them up in big, neat stacks. And then they said, let's march on the White House and go protest there. No one is allowed to protest around the White House. It's a free speech zone area where it's not allowed. You know, the free speech zone is where none of the cameras are at. So I say that sarcastically when I call it a free speech zone. It's a non-free speech zone. And so the vets show up, and they're there going to protest, and the police come in to try to move them back. There's other videos showing them trying to put up barricades around the gates, around the White House, and shoving on veterans when they come up to talk to them. So it's a pretty serious situation. And I'm telling you, all it's going to take is some of these Fed goons to start beating up veterans, and then you won't see tens of thousands of Oath Keepers there. And by the way, that's mainly who's there. You won't see that. In fact, it shows veterans marching with pieces of gates that they've taken, barricades that they've taken, I guess, as spoils of victory against the tyrants. And people could say, oh, big deal. This is how it began in Romania against Ceausescu. And you began to have veterans and other people protesting against the dictator in Romania. And then as soon as they started abusing and shooting people, hundreds of thousands showed up when there'd only been hundreds at first. And then they started shooting at them, so hundreds of thousands more showed up, and then the police just stood down, and the military stood down, and hours later, you know what happened to Ceausescu. I don't want that to happen to Puppet Obama, because that'll turn him into a hero. I want him to be held accountable for all the treason against this republic. When we come back, all the big news. And then in the second hour today, we're going to talk about the missing nuclear weapons from Dyess Air Force Base, and the #1 nuke general and #2 nuke general who've now been fired, along with 2 other generals that now we learned got fired with almost no media coverage, and what's really behind this. So breaking news on that front. Stay with us. I am your host, Alex Jones. We're here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central, just as we are back weekdays, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. And I am so glad I do a live Sunday show on days like this. Quite frankly, so much happens over the weekend. I ought to start doing a Saturday show. In fact, I'm thinking about it. But before I horrify the crew out there, I may just do a Skype-only prisonplanet.tv Saturday evening live transmission. And when I can't do it, I'll have some of the other crew do it. I'm telling you, we need 7-day-a-week coverage with what is going on in this world, my friends. Besides, why not work 7 days a week, 14, 15 hours a day? I can't stop thinking about politics and world events. I'm sorry, I can't get into football and sing my team's anthem and cry if they lose or have celebrations if they win, because none of that matters compared to the real game of life and huge world events that are happening right now. What's up on Infowars.com? What's up on DrudgeReport.com? What's up on the Libertarian Patriot news sites right now? My friends, just minutes ago, riot police began attacking peaceful veterans, including folks that look like they're at least 75 years old, with batons because they dare march without a permit past the White House. And the veterans, I couldn't believe it, the footage of these old men began basically beating up the police and shoving them back down on the ground. I don't think the police have ever dealt with somebody who isn't scared to be hit with a baton. Everybody else just rolls over onto the ground in total fear. That footage is up on Infowars.com. From NBC Local, breaking riot police confront veterans as they liberate memorials. Kit Daniels, who's working this weekend, one of our writers, he's about to post an article on this with other footage that's coming in. Footage so crazy that I was seeing right before we went live from live feeds online that I can't even believe it. Because it showed the riot police, there's a bunch of footage of this, trying to come up and tell people they can't be in front of the White House. I have been there many times with national TV crews and gone over to get our own B-roll. In fact, we've shown this footage for films I'm making of the White House, and you can be in the park 100 yards away, and the Secret Service in police uniforms will come over and say you can't do it, and then security guards and regular police will come over and say, I don't care what the law says, I'm going to arrest you if you don't move along. And I'm like, well, we have this on footage that you're showing this is in America, but I don't feel like being arrested today. You're violating my rights, but I'm going to go ahead and go on down the road now. And then they follow you on bicycles, in one case 2 miles. As we walked getting B-roll footage. And I'm like, you know who I am? They're like, yeah, we know who you are. And I'm like, you know I'm not threatening anybody. Doesn't matter. They want me to know I'm their slave. And they do it to families with kids. You've heard my pet peeve about this. I've talked about this a lot. That I've been to third world countries, folks, and they don't act like this. And by the way, it's not the Secret Service in the suits. I've run into a lot of them. Most of them are listeners. In fact, off record. Well, it's not off record that a lot of Secret Service agents are listeners, but off record, I won't say their names, obviously. Off record, the names, but there's some senior folks at the White House that are listeners, and I'm sure the NSA knows that. In fact, most people in the Secret Service are actually patriotic and are very upset about what's going on. I'll just leave it at that. It's not just Bongino, the former head of the foreign details for the president, who's a listener of the show that you've heard on the show exposing what's happening, running for Congress in Maryland. It's most of them. And he said that on air. Most of them are totally freaked out. They have these special Secret Service security guards that come out and mess with the families and get in everybody's face and act like total jerks. And they've got federal forces in these weird blue UN color uniforms coming up to veterans who want to stand there and chant at the gates of the White House. I mean, they got Secret Service in there with Stinger missiles, automatic weapons, flamethrowers, you name it. Nobody's going to really climb over and do anything, and nobody was trying to. So they send goons out to intimidate the veterans, and the veterans start fighting back. And believe me, if they have their way, they'll try to arrest those veterans that when they get hit with a baton, shove the cops back up against the wall. But I'm telling you, these cops look like a bunch of nanny state commies to me, because that's who they hire now federally to be their little security guard minion types. And they've got their little metal truncheons. They've got their little extendable carbide steel batons that break bones. I mean, these are not your old wooden batons out there that they're using on people. And go ahead, kill one of these vets. I predicted 2 weeks ago that when all this started up, I said they're going to attack veterans with batons. They will attack elderly vets with batons. And I said, even though that's a PR disaster, they can't help it. They hate veterans so much. And they hate gun owners and libertarians and real conservatives and constitutionalists so much they will. I predicted it over and over again the last 2 weeks, over and over again on record that you would see this start. And now I predict after the veterans at the Iwo Jima Memorial that was shut down, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier that they wouldn't let anybody get near, the World War II giant memorial that's out in a public mall. They didn't shut down the other ones. They let the illegal aliens have demonstrations anytime they want. They only blocked the veterans memorials to just set the precedent we can do whatever we want, and did arrest veterans and did beat people up. But when they showed up by the tens of thousands today, they backed off, but then the veterans said, let's push it. Let's march down to Barry Soetoro's outfit. And by the way, I heard Obama left today, pulled out of Dodge. I mean, this is, I guess he didn't want to hear people chanting outside, and now his goons are there trying to stop people. This is all up on Infowars.com right now. Unbelievable. And the footage is just now pouring in of them batoning. But when they start batoning the veterans, and again, it's what these cowardly federal troops do, is they love to target old people, including folks in wheelchairs, because somehow they think that's like an easy target. But they don't understand how this is going to backfire on them. This is how out of touch these goons are. So they single out the old people first, thinking that, oh, they'll be easy to push over. And then the old people actually fight back and shove the cops back. It's worth it. This image is worth $10 billion. I mean, I'm telling you, the cops yelling and screaming and threatening the veterans and saying, we want to fight with you, is pathetic. I mean, it just shows the essence of tyranny, the essence of cowardice, the essence of weakness, the essence of patheticness. And the fear in the police's eyes. They should be afraid because you're working for a criminal system. You're defending a fraud, and you know it. How's your socialist ideology doing for you now, all you idiots that supported Obamacare? It was written by offshore banks, select insurance companies to shut down other insurance companies and HMOs that weren't globalist. It was meant to lower the standard of care, double the prices, and absolutely take over society. I had top experts on. I read the subsections of the bills. I had constitutional lawyers on. I had medical doctors on who had studied it. And I went through and read the minutes of the lobbying meetings that were published from Capitol Hill meetings 3 years ago when they got it passed. I told you everything that was in it. Because when I had an expert on, I would have the 10,000-plus page writers and the 3,000-page bill up on the computer screen. I would sub-search the subsection, they said. I would go look at it. And we wrote hundreds of articles with the subsections telling you, I know what's in the bill. I did research. I'm informed. I'm not an idiot. I'm not lazy. I'm not a moron. I'm not bragging here. But these Democrats think that it's because it's their opinion, and they laugh at me and call me a right-winger when I'm really a libertarian freedom lover, that somehow it makes me wrong when I'm informed. Of course, no one's been able to sign up at healthcare.gov. They've been able to sign up through exchanges on the phone. The 10% in a Reuters article 4 days ago that thought they'd signed up, turned out they thought they'd signed up. None of them were able to sign up. The Miami Herald has an article out today saying, looking for the mythical Obamacare enrollee. They can't find one, okay? You see, I live in the real world with facts. You live in the real world of la-la land. You really think foreign banks wanted to give you free health care, dummy? Dummy, you're poor because you're lazy and stupid. And the empire is a bunch of kleptocratic, corrupt special interests that want to run government to not be productive but to feed on folks. There are a lot of poor people that are poor because they were brought up in a bad area, never had any advantages that some others have had. Some people have disabilities, but overall, historically, when you have a big nanny state, it creates a bunch of entitled, spoiled, out-of-control people who then go create positions for themselves in the government to declare the producers the enemy and then enslave the producers. And then the prosperity totally collapses, but they don't care because they have an instinct to hate the people they're feeding off of. And they're so ignorant. Again, the studies are out there. You can pull them up all day long. They've been around for decades. that if you have a 3% guaranteed investment yearly on the amount of money they take from you in Social Security, you would get at least double, on average, what you get from Social Security in an investment. And then there's the argument, well, we can't trust people to invest their own money. Let's invest it with the government instead, run by the worst special interest that stole it all. So now it's all bankrupt. No, you have the free market and you have diversification, so the best companies with the best names, they're the most trustworthy long-term, that's who everybody invests with. Instead, we've done the opposite. We've had special interest in government take over and then guarantee their corrupt operations and their Ponzi schemes and then tied the taxpayer to that. It's bankrupt, folks, by design, and we're going over the edge of the cliff right now. And I just started having flashbacks of the callers the last few months going, Obamacare's going in. I'm a social worker. You're just a right-wing racist. And because you're against Obamacare, you don't want to turn your guns in. You're a racist. And I'm like, what does this have to do with being racist? A, I'm not. B, you are obsessed with it. C, this is a giant con job. They're like, no, Obama wants to redistribute the wealth. He loves me. That's why he's run by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo on record, the biggest drug money laundering operation in the world. Bloomberg, AP, Reuters, hundreds of billions a year. Warren Buffett, who wrote the laws to exempt himself from taxes 20 years ago, lobbying to raise taxes on poor people. So he gets bailout money and he tells the poor people, oh, raise your taxes, we'll get the rich guy. And the poor people go, oh, yeah, I want to soak the rich guy. The guy that owns a restaurant or a car dealership that gives you jobs, dummy. The guy making $5 million a year, you ought to be licking his boots. Those are the people that actually hire and run companies and do things. The kleptocrat bankers, Warren Buffett people, the biggest recipient of the banker bailout, I use him as a poster boy, they game the whole deal. They're mafia. And by the way, they've had federal rulings. They've had congressional hearings that what Berkshire Hathaway and Wells Fargo and Bank of America and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, what they did in their investment banks is totally illegal. And instead of going to jail, they get bailed out by us, holding us hostage. And I don't mean to get off into a rant about this, but man, I study finance. I have all the top experts on. Nobel Prize winners, from Joseph Stiglitz to the former head of the Treasury, father of Reaganomics, the whole 9 yards, folks, and they all concur. It's not like this is my opinion. You're being told exactly how things work. You're being told exactly how they operate. You're being told that you have been totally scammed, and you either listen to us or you become even bigger chumps. And here's the problem. I can't just step aside where you run off the cliff like lemmings. The problem is you do run things, the giant mass of 47% or whatever you are, that really think you're going to not work and forever just be given free stuff by the globalist. They're only doing that to bring in a total tyranny. And once they got their system in place, they're going to turn off all the chicken feed. So you better get that through your brain right now. I love this country. I love prosperity. I want poor people to be rich. I want everybody to be successful. And I know historically, real wildcat, laissez-faire, free market systems create massive wealth and prosperity. The problem is they create decadence, then a big government off the taxes, and then people get lazy and don't work. They become client groups. The system becomes anti-free market. Unnatural falls apart. A lot of people blame laissez-faire for the problem we're in now. We don't have laissez-faire now. We have select mega corporations that are exempt from the taxes, the regulations that are above the law, operating with slave states like China and India and Mexico to leverage out once-free economies and lower wages under Agenda 21 and UNESCO, codified to bankrupt and domesticate the West, to bring in a tyrannical world government. They don't like you doing well. They don't like you being wealthy. They don't like you being uppity. They don't like you having choice. They don't like free markets. As John D. Rockefeller said, competition's a sin. Monopoly is the key. That's the full quote. Monopoly is the key. He also said, monopoly is king. Monopoly is king. Yeah, king for robber barons, not for you. And that's what this is a combine of 10 big insurance companies who wrote this to shut down their competition. The head of the Texas Banking Association went public and said, this is also a banking bill. And the banker bailout and all that stuff is to shut down competition. And you're going to find out about it right now. You're going to get front row seats to Weeks into this, and no one can sign up on the exchange. Now, for those that just joined us up on Infowars.com, here's the big news, and I'm going to get to it after this quick break coming up in the news the stations have. Breaking, riot police confront veterans as they liberate memorials, and that has video in it of them attacking elderly veterans with batons, but the elderly vets actually shove the police back, and the police cower in fear. Man, I tell you, what scum. This country is just scum run. History, vets tear down barricades as feds back down. That was at the memorials. They didn't back down at the White House. Spirit of Iwo Jima as vets storm barricades. They'd shut down the Iwo Jima Guadalcanal, famous thing with the guys hoisting the flags up. They had that reenacted. That was shut down at Arlington. At healthcare.gov, no mention of glitches. Don Salazar wrote, well, if they say there's no glitches, then there are no glitches. And they control reality. That is just some of the news up on Infowars.com. And then coming up, I'm going to get into food stamp recipients panic as federal EBT system crashes, government IT system rapidly unraveling. There are 101 million people on partial EBT. There are 49 million and growing. It's doubled in 5 years. Soon it'll be 100 million. And this is Cloward and Piven, the sociology strategy from the 60s, adopted by the Democratic Party officially, to bankrupt the country and socialize everything. I mean, Stalin and Lenin and people, they shut down countries they took over on purpose for years to shut down the old economy and have people starve and become dependent and to see them as liberators when they came in with force years later. They just take over the central government, the transportation hubs, shut off Poland, Ukraine, Romania, Czech Republic. They would just shut everything off, sometimes 10 years to break the Ukrainians, the kulaks. Just shut everything off for 10 years, sit there, send out paramilitary groups to harass and grab your wife and kids, rape them in front of them while they blow your head off. That's what big government, by the way, does this everywhere. Everywhere. 100% of the time, this is what it degenerates into. Because you create an unnatural system where a bunch of people can sit around all day on their butts in black uniforms on power trips run by criminals in central government who hate the countryside, who hate people that aren't criminals, who hate people that can skin a buck and run a trot line. And they want to ruin the country. They want to shut it down. We're going to break it all down straight ahead. Stay with us. Coming up in the next hour, I'm going to break down the case of the missing nukes from Dyess Air Force Base in West Texas. That is finally getting some big media coverage, thanks to Michael Savage with his syndicated radio show, one of the biggest in the country. Probably set in line to be the biggest political show. Spending a lot of time on it Friday. I've listened to his show routinely. I missed it Friday, but I got a bunch of calls about it and emails and comments, and that he covered it extensively on Friday, and we appreciate that because it's important for everybody. We do have military source at Dyess, high level. It was a complete freak out back on September 3rd, a month ago, when nukes that weren't supposed to be there were taken out of bunkers, loaded on trucks that weren't even authorized under the regular federal private certified moving group that moves them around, and then they just rolled them out to South Carolina, reportedly. And since then, they fired the #1 and #2 nuke generals. They fired another one Friday, and AP said that this was leaked to them. The administration doesn't even want it known, and then it turned out 2 other generals were removed over the weekend. And there is a purge going on, and I don't know what's going on with the nukes. I just know my source is accurate. This happened, and it was such a big deal, the base commander had to come out to the private police that are the security on Dyess and make them stand down and say, no, it's an order, but there's no paperwork. Let the nukes leave. So I don't know what's going on. I'm telling you, just like I told you, Navy SEALs told us that they thought the helicopter with 23 of them was blown up to cover up that bin Laden wasn't really killed and it was a lookalike. And now you see all the families going public saying just that. And you see Navy SEALs that are retired going public talking about it. I mean, over and over again, we break major news here, okay, because we're one of the only places that will actually do it. And that's a very dangerous position to be in, by the way. This is like taking my licks here, okay? But I've sworn to not be a coward. I've sworn to go all the way, and I'm doing it. kind of makes it hard to care if your roof is leaking, though. You just get to where you start caring about other stuff. It's really weird when you just gut up, go all the way, risk your life with all these whistleblowers and this information. And I'm not up here talking about how I'm some hero either. I just want people to know, in a nation of folks that are obsessed with football and petty issues, I live in the real world. And believe me, I wish every minute this nuke story wasn't real. It is real. And now you see all the top nuke generals getting fired and the admirals getting fired. And Lindsey Graham saying South Carolina will be nuked. And all this other stuff, it looks bad. I don't know what's going on. There's different scenarios. They're all horrible. Probably shadow government holding the government hostage with a nuclear false flag if folks don't go along with the globalist banker takeover of America. That's probably what's going on. Most of the big brains agree and concur with that analysis. Most of the big brains I talk to, I don't just sit here and go with my own perspective. I war game this stuff. In fact, not most of the big brains. All the big brains concur. It's holding America hostage, and it's some type of horrible situation. And by the way, in the next hour, I dug up, it's hard to find these, the CBS News and the CNN and the Pentagon video press release when they fired 2 generals back in 2008, a year after the investigation, into the missing 6, I keep saying 2, or 2 big ones, but 4 small ones, stealth cruise missiles. They're high-tech. They look like stealth bombers that B-52s carry on their wings. Remember, 6 of those got stolen is what happened. They got stolen. Stolen out of Minot, North Dakota. Back in 2007, a good group in the government blew the whistle on it. They were going to be flown to the Middle East to Lord knows who. The word was it was supposedly a nuke false flag. There was a big armed standoff down at the big Air Force base in Louisiana, where they've now moved the main command. I forget the name of it. The point is that, this all happened. They landed. The security force there said, those are loaded cruise missiles. They said, well, we're ordered to fly this out of here. There was a big standoff. Then 6 people died in the next month at the base in Minot that loaded them and took the orders. They killed the people that got the orders, obviously. It's Barksdale. So you can understand, folks, they kill people in and around this stuff, okay? Now, I'm just the person that got the info. And I can't say anything about the source and how credible they are. They're credible. I can't give details, okay? Obviously. I can't say if it's a man, a woman, whatever. But they were freaking out, okay? I mean, there were basically police with their guns out at Dyess Air Force Base when this happened back in early September. They're like, what? What? Warheads? What the? Where's the paperwork? We're not supposed to have nukes here. Of course, everybody knew there were nukes there. Weldon Henson worked on B-2 bombers and F-16s there for 5 years of his 7 years in the Air Force. He's been working here 7 years since he got out of the Air Force. And he said, oh, yeah, everybody knew they had nukes. We weren't supposed to talk about it. What, you think the Russians in the U.S. actually got rid of their nukes? You think they got rid of the nukes at Dyess Air Force Base in 1986 because they signed the START Treaty? I bet you think Santa Claus is real, too, if you believe that. So I don't know what's going on with the nukes. I got a really good idea, though. I know the Russian government's concerned. We got the Russian government calling us. This is serious, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you think they'd be concerned about missing nukes? See, I said I'd cover this next hour. This is the world I live in. It's all I'm telling you. It's a miracle I can stay sane and deal with this level of stress. Because I realize that I'm like a general every day, 7 days a week, in the info war with all this data and all this responsibility, and I never imagined I would be in this position. And let me tell you, it ain't fun. And it's sick. I saw this morning, we were watching the newscast, we got 10 inches of rain where I live outside Austin, and the little creek behind our house was like a roaring 500-foot wide baby Mississippi River all the way up to our house on a hill. So I turn on local television. We never even turn it on except to watch movies. We had to get rabbit ears out to tune in the local TV. And I was watching everyone salute and tears in their eyes when UT won a game or something. And it was people like saluting and crying. And I was like, what? You know, there's missing nuclear weapons. Veterans are being attacked with batons for trying to go to the war memorials. The EBT card system's down in 17 states. People are freaking out in one day with it down on the edge of rioting. The country's $17 trillion in debt by design. Our government's funding Al-Qaeda. And here are these full-grown adults in burnt orange crying that UT won and singing the UT song. I mean, I'm living in the twilight zone. I'm living in the twilight zone. And it's because of, and I'm not judging because you like football. I played football. I like football too. But as soon as I learned about other important things, there's no way I can sit there and get into it anymore. And I don't judge people that get into it. I get wanting to escape. I can't escape is the deal. Okay, I can't escape. I wake up at 3 a.m. this morning about the nuclear weapons. I wake up in a cold sweat. I've never been actually scared in my life. I'm looking out the window for hit teams and stuff. You know, I'm walking around sweating at 3 a.m. in my house looking at my kids in bed, you know. And it's just like, it's all a big joke to other people. It's just, it's funny or something. It's not funny. Let me tell you, they detonate nuclear weapons and blame it on patriot groups or whatever, or who knows, some foreign country. All bets are off, folks, to bring in martial law, gut your bank accounts. They'll get away with all of it. Persecute the Tea Party, go after the gun owners. And a lot of people hear this and say, well, we better roll over. No, rolling over is even worse. You can't roll over to the devil. And I thought Obama was just some frontman puppet. Now I've really been studying him, what he's doing. He's actually running a lot of stuff. And he's always got flies flying around him all over. It's like the devil or something. I can't handle it, folks. I can't handle it. And I sure can't handle turning on TV and people are crying because UT won a stupid football game. Unbelievable! Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, broadcasting worldwide. It is Sunday. It is 4:46 Central Standard Time. Many stations for air the broadcast. We're very thankful for all of our wonderful AM and FM affiliates out there. The show is just exploding across the country because I know it sounds wild and crazy. And for years, talk show hosts, station managers, station owners heard it and thought, this is crazy. Now they're all, we want your show, we want your show. It's all happening. And that's what we've really got on the Globalist is that patriots, liberty lovers, not just myself, but millions of others, have talked about what was coming, what was happening. Now it's happening. Our credibility's going up. We told you exactly what Obamacare would do. Now it's happening. Now our credibility goes up. And that's the good thing about telling the truth when it's unpopular. Once the tyranny comes in, it will wake people up. And speaking of folks obsessed with sports, while all this serious stuff's happening, Chris Jordan printed off 1 Corinthians 13, which I think really says it well, verse 8, 11. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see the face to face. Now I know in part that I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. It's very, very deep, folks. I'm going to read that again because I bumbled over it. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. So it's saying, like you're a child and you're a man, then you die and see God, then you really know. It's the next level. That's what that's saying. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And that's the thing. My flesh, folks, that lusts after beautiful women and wants to get in fights with people when they get in my face and is hateful towards my enemies. My flesh is strong. It's also cowardly. It's like, don't report this nuke stuff. Don't report this Navy SEAL murder stuff. Don't report this stuff. They'll kill you. Enjoy yourself. Go have fun. Go to the Caribbean. Go to Tahiti. And I'm like, yeah, but my spirit says you're going to go all the way and you're not going to back off 1 inch. Full force. And I guess other people don't have a strong spirit. I feel sad for them because my spirit drives everything, overdrives all the animal, everything. It's in charge. My spirit's in charge, not my flesh. It's there, a little devil on my shoulder, my flesh, telling me what I should do, telling me I deserve this, I deserve that, all whatever. The public scum, they're dumb. They don't deserve you to even tell them the truth. Just join the dark side. It's going to be great. It'll work out. It'll be okay. But then I think about what the dark side does to innocent people, innocent children. I'll never sign on to that. I'll never join that. I'll never be part of that. Even though, folks, I get the dark side. I understand it. I can swim in it. I know it. I have discernment. I have knowledge of good and evil. Of course I'm corrupted. Just to even have the knowledge of evil and to understand that I'm evil. I am evil. I am man. Yes, I am, to quote Metallica. But it doesn't mean I want to join it. Doesn't mean my spirit wants to go with it. Doesn't mean my heart is with it. My heart says, and my spirit says, I don't care what you do to me. I'm never joining you. It's not even a choice with me. It's automatic. It's complete. One foot in hell, one in heaven. That's how we all are, folks. We're all trapped in purgatory. That's what this planet is. This is the test right now between heaven and hell. It's heaven, it's hell. It's real. Better decide which side you're on, folks. Because if you're lukewarm, you know where you're going. You're neither hot nor cold. I spit you out of my mouth. If you just joined us, I don't mean to be preaching. I need to get to all this news. There's so much to cover. Go to the EBT clip from the news first, and we'll break it down.
A glitch today involving food stamp debit-style cards is being blamed on a computer system failure and not the government shutdown. A spokeswoman for Xerox confirmed the problem and said it was affecting people in 17 states where it runs the debit-style card system. The problem forced many shoppers to abandon groceries at the checkout counter because their cards wouldn't work. There's no word on exactly when this problem will be fixed.
Which runs things like the tollways, they outsource to India, just like J.P. Morgan does, the customer service for welfare. We're going to have welfare, might as well have some jobs administering it. But no, can't do that because it's all about profit. It's all about control. It's all about controlled economies. A, it's worse than 17 states. B, on Twitter and Facebook, we've got the photos, big articles out tomorrow at Infowars.com. There was systems out all over the country. Federal system. And it's kind of like the glitches that people have seen in their bank accounts if there's suddenly zero money there. There's all sorts of chicanery going on. And is this how you're supposed to live? You're born, you get a card, you go to a Walmart or wherever. Walmart, I think, says 20% of their business is EBT cards. And then other people's money buys you food, and you go back and watch television all day, where you hear Obama say, I'm going to give you free health care, when you already had free health care. The free healthcare system gets rid of your health care, brings in eugenics care. But why should I even talk to Obama supporters? I know we're listening out there on AM and FM stations. They don't know what eugenics is. They have grown up with welfare and all that. And I feel sorry for them. I want them to go out and start a business and have the ideas and believe in themselves and be empowered. But all they think is I'm racist or I'm evil or I'm whatever. They have no idea what slaves they are. It's very, very frustrating. Meanwhile, again, here's the article up on Infowars.com by Mike Adams. Food stamp recipients panic as federal EBT system crashes. Government IT systems rapidly unraveling. And Mike Adams, as a programmer, goes over all that's happening with the system. Meanwhile, under Obamacare, under Common Core that teaches 2 + 2 = 4, Adon Salazar, writing for Infowars.com, high school assessment. Students decide who lives and dies under limited health care. They did this in Europe 30 years ago. They actually teach them. The kids decide, well, you're old, because they tell you, there's only so much money, and it's a socialized system, so somebody's got to die for you to get your health care, and they decide to kill grandma, just like Newsweek said the case for killing Granny. Of course, there are no death panels, though. They just federally teach kids 2 + 2 = 5, and dodgeball's racist, and has to be, I'm not kidding, has to be banned. My wife had family point blank tell her, Christianity is racist. And I mean, you mean like there's racist? No. Just being Christian is, if you don't like how something tastes at a restaurant, you just say it's racist. It's like I don't need to be intellectual, I just say racism. I think it's racist. Continuing, here's CBS reporting on it. Computer glitch blamed for nationwide EBT system shutdown on Saturday. Yeah, CBS gets it right. It was nationwide. It wasn't 17 states. Here's another one, AP, Xerox, access restored for food stamps. So we live by the EBT card. And reportedly that fights broke out, freakouts, people were panicking in just a day of not having their EBT card. Remember, 101 million people, in fact, I have the headline right here, 101 million people now are on partial EBT, 49 million are on total EBT. In fact, here are the headlines. 101 million get food aid from federal government, outnumber full-time private sector workers. You mean the racist terrorist? And continuing, my friends, doesn't matter. The Republicans, and I had Ron Paul, former congressman, on Friday, and I said, you know, Mitch McConnell's right. This Obamacare is so bad and such a ripoff and written to defraud people. We fought it. We tried to stop it. Let them have it now. Do whatever Obama wants with the already passed bill. So, and it was weird, within a few hours, I told people to call Congress. I'm sure it was others as well. But everybody got it at that point. System of total fraud. Don't let them blame it on libertarians and people and constitutionalists. Within hours, Boehner went to Obama and said, here's everything you want for 2 months. And Obama said, no, for the security of the dollar, which actually hurts the dollar, I'm going to not do this. And now he's saying, I want immigration, I want open borders, and I want your guns, basically. Now he'll hold everything hostage and all the welfare checks and threaten to burn down America with his army of 101 million welfare people if we don't turn everything over to him. That's the threat. That's the false flag. Here it is. Obama rejects latest House GOP offer. They said, everything you want, it's yours. And he said, no. People say, well, why? Because he knows his constituents literally cannot tie their shoelaces, literally want to be raped by tyranny, literally are begging to be lined up and shot by the New World Order. We'll be right back with a second hour. Tell your friends and family to tune in. All right, I'm not taking calls tonight because I've got so much news I haven't even gotten to yet. When we come back in the next segment, it's a longer segment so I can cover it all. I'll get into the missing nukes and the latest developments on that front. And then I will get more into the government shutdown and Obamacare and what's happening on that front. And then I will get into world's top bankers warn of dire consequences of U.S. defaults. And I've got some technology news. Special Ops uniform will transform commandos into Iron Man. That's been a plan for 50 years, but now it's actually coming true. We're going to look at that. And more coming up. But first off, when we return after this break, I'm going to get into the missing nuke story. And again, just because a lot of listeners, I don't think, can conceptualize this, especially new listeners, because I don't really conceptualize it. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. We have a high-level source that says, man, it was a big freak out. There were nukes transferred. They weren't supposed to be here. There wasn't paperwork. The police wouldn't let them leave because they already had previous orders. It was a big freak out. They're going to South Carolina. And then hours later, Lindsey Graham comes out and says, South Carolina will be nuked if we don't attack Syria. I mean, it just goes on and on. And then the two top nuke generals get fired, and now other generals have been fired, and I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, I just don't know what to say anymore. It's bad, okay? I mean, do you think I was happy when all the Navy SEAL families started going public saying that 23 of them had been murdered on SEAL Team 6 because it was really, Osama bin Laden look-alike at that compound and it was all fake? Do you think I was happy when my Navy SEAL source of two, one was the father, one was actual Navy SEAL, do you think I was happy that that was true? No, I was distraught. That's the issue, is that it gets worse and worse. I mean, even Alex Jones, to talk about myself cheesily in a third person, doesn't believe it's this bad. Because I can intellectually get it and war game it and look at worst case, best case, median scenarios. But then when I realize that it's beyond my worst case, I go, wait a minute, that's historical. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, all these other people, Genghis Khan, Caligula, Aztec leaders, Mayan leaders, Chin leaders. I mean, it's just the same story. Crazy people going nuts on a power trip. And I'm like, oh, my God, oh, my God. And then I have this weird battle that goes on constantly of sell everything, keep doing the radio show, shut the whole news division down, run to Northern Europe or Switzerland. But then my spirit says, no, you're going to stay here and go right through the whole deal, and you know you're never leaving, and you know you're going to just see it through to the end. We shall go on to the end. Whatever the case may be, we shall defend our island. We shall never surrender. Hey, honey, I'm on the air. How you doing? I'm on the air. You want me to call you back when I get a long break coming up? Yeah. You want to say, oh, you pocket called me? You butt dialed me? You want to say hi to folks? Say, hello, world. I'll hold the phone up. Say, hi. Is that going through? Say, hi. No. Have the kids yell. Have the kids all yell, hi, in the car. You there? She hung up. It even transmits. I could hear when she hung up, it went like an end of the microwave connection or in the... I mean, she always calls me when I'm on the air, which is fine. But I mean, she said, what's going on? Oh, now she's calling into this studio phone. Like, why'd you do that on the air? Oh, boy. Oh, man. We're going to come right back, ladies and gentlemen, after this quick break. And we will continue to cover the news straight ahead. Get to the missing nukes, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the second hour of the Sunday worldwide broadcast. We'll get more into World War II vets, Korean War vets, Vietnam vets, Desert Storm vets, vets from the recent conflicts, all by the tens of thousands storming the barricaded national monuments for the military, the World War II Memorial and others, tearing down the barricades. Then riot police showed up when they tried to protest at the White House, began attacking old men, including people in wheelchairs. The videos are all up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And the old men successfully battled and defeated the police, who looked like UN toilet attendants. I mean, they hire their buddies now. So if you're not a chicken neck communist, they don't hire you, especially in the District of Criminals, D.C. That's all coming up. But first off, back on September 3rd of this year, a high-level source at Dyess Air Force Base in West Texas, home of the Global Air Force Aircraft Nuclear Strike Command, one of the main SHAC bases in the entire United States, if not the main base. We got the intel that there was a military transfer of nuclear warheads in 4 trucks without paperwork, and that the base police, that are civilian police, said, well, this is against the law. There's not supposed to be nukes here. What is going on with these trucks? What is leaving? We're supposed to inspect. Base commander came out and said no. They asked the truck drivers, who weren't even part of the regular federal contractors that do it. They said, look, we're just told we're going to South Carolina. Because the police said, fine, we'll follow the order. Let this go. You just say where it's going. And my source was privy to all this going on. And I said, I don't know what this means. We got to report it. It's a good source. This went on. Same source reported weeks before in the whole Syria deal that the B-2 bombers had flown out of there to go to Diego Garcia out in the off the coast of Africa, south of the Persian Gulf. Weeks later, that was confirmed. Now, I think the best way to get to this news story of missing nuclear weapons and why it's so important is I think we should play from 2007, CNN and CBS News, also a Pentagon video press release about how big a deal this was last time it happened, so you understand why it's a big deal. This was 6 missing cruise missiles. Let's go to the CNN.
Let's tell people what we do know. It was last Thursday, a B-52 bomber loaded 6 air-launched cruise missiles under its wings, took off from Minot, North Dakota, flew the length of the United States to Barksdale, Louisiana. Those missiles were supposed to be decommissioned. There was just one little problem. When they landed in Louisiana, they found that those missiles that were supposed to be basically decommissioned and taken out of service, each of them had a nuclear warhead on them. 6 nuclear warheads flying the length of the United States, and no one seemed to know it. To say the least, a major investigation is underway now. The Air Force officer in charge of the squadron loading the munitions, relieved of duty. They took an immediate inventory of all Air Force nuclear weapons to make sure they had everything. They say the public was never in any danger. The weapons were not armed, that there would have been no nuclear detonation if in some fashion the missiles had basically fallen off the wings of the airplane. But really, small comfort to most of the military and to many Americans, perhaps. This sort of thing is not supposed to happen. Nuclear weapons are the most guarded, the most secure item, supposedly, in the U.S. military arsenal. One military official telling us today, this is unprecedented. Nobody remembers another instance like this.
Okay, so I get a panicked high-level call that says this may be the last time I ever talk to you. Here's the info. I'm risking my life to do this. Here it is. And by the way, that person will not talk to us now, even though we've done all sorts of things to get through to them through other channels. You can imagine what we've done. Not going to say we drove to West Texas and knocked on doors at 2 a.m. All hell broke loose, by the way, at the base, and the base has never denied this. You'd think the commander would come out and say we were saying it wasn't true. So this was a big deal when this happened. You think I'm going to go on air and say this happened if we didn't have a high-level source saying it? This happened, okay? Either our source that is very high level is lying, or this went on. And it's happened before, and it's a big deal. Unprecedented, okay? Now, since then, the number 2 of U.S. strategic nuclear forces, over all of them, fired in a made-up deal. The local police said, no, he didn't have fake chips. We don't know what you're talking about. They claim the head Navy officer over nukes, this admiral, was with fake chips at the casino. Turns out none of it's even true. Now the number 1 major general, all that's above that's general. The major general, Michael J. Carey, is fired, and they said because the president does not trust him. And by the way, AP had this leak to them. AP who's gone public saying there's a war on the press. We've been telling you that forever, and that the country's in deep trouble. AP on Friday said there's a war on the press and America's in deep trouble. AP's establishment, folks, why would they talk like that? Because there's a total mutiny of the people that work there of how crazy this is. I mean, is working for the New World Order a suicide pact for all you people? Obviously it's not. You get now, this is a criminal takeover. Anybody with half a brain has got to go public. They went on to say they want to make it clear it wasn't operations related, but earlier they said it was failure to follow an order and to carry out a basic duty. And he's now been removed. The head of all of the nuclear forces, all of them, all of them, all of them. And AP in the version Friday, that's a new version. We got to dig up the one we have in the stack. That's why I print everything, because they memory hole it being online. It said that it was national security and that they didn't want released why he was terminated and that it was a leak. Normally, this would be big news, folks. Now, AP says the White House doesn't even want you to know this is happening. It gets worse. They've removed 2 other generals this week that no one wants you to know about. There is a purge, folks, going on right now in the military. Our high-level sources say there's a litmus test. Will you fire on Americans? Will you bring in martial law? Will you? And they're saying no, 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 and they're being removed. Just like they had 10 top generals removed in the month after Benghazi, because they all know that was a hit job. I mean, this is insane. It's like I'm in the middle of Valkyrie, Operation Valkyrie or something. I mean, I don't even know what's going on at this point. Believe me, there's nobody's. I can say this is above my pay grade. There's nobody's pay grade can handle this type of insanity. This is madness. This is all a bunch of crazy globalist kleptocrats who want to break America forever and dominate it. They want to rule the world. They want to run the empire that runs the world. And they hate the American people and the troops that built the empire at the same time. Here's another one. Top nuke commanders terminated following missing nuclear warheads report. Here's another one. This is out of Wired. Danger room. 2 generals sacked over Taliban attack. Does anybody believe they sacked them this week over the Taliban killing some people? Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The 35th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General James F. Amos, addressed Marines. When we come back, we'll tell you about this. There is coup, counter-coup stuff going on right now, and a whole bunch. They don't know how many missing warheads. Broadcasting worldwide from deep in the heart of Texas, I am your host, Alex Jones. And because the news is so powerfully dangerous and important, we're not taking calls. I will take calls tomorrow. 12 noon Central, the show kicks off, Infowars.com. PrisonPlanet.com, you can listen on XM 244 or on over 160 AM and FM affiliates across the country. And, of course, on the internet streams and the free podcast at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and video feeds at PrisonPlanet.tv. Okay, so the Marine Corps Commandant came out and told the General Staff of the Marine Corps that they fired 2 top Marine commanders because they allowed a Taliban attack on a base last year. There were more attacks today. This is total bull. And I see reports every week where they're firing generals and admirals in the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force. And I've talked to my NSA sources, like Wayne Madsen, you name it. There is just an all-out purge, just like you see the AP saying there's a purge of journalists and harassment. I can handle death threats. I can handle stuff people wouldn't believe if I talked about it on air. The average AP reporter or Reuters reporter gets a death threat, and by the way, tells them what their kid was wearing when they went to school that morning. Those people shut up real fast. The average congressperson gets the call about, remember 10 years ago when you cheated on your wife? Yeah, that was our operative. Do what you're told or she's going to go public. This is how they're running the show. Just like I told you the NSA was spying on you. Just like I told you all the back doors were built into the internet for the NSA and private corporations to spy. That's in London Guardian and AP today. Like, let me just give you the headline. Just saying it. U.S. fears backdoor routes into the net because it's building them too. That's London Guardian right there. Not the U.S., it's the globalists that run the country. And again, I don't want to live in Russia. I don't like the Russian government in many respects. They're not running my life, though. I don't like the Chi-Coms. The globalists are in bed with them, but they're not running my life. They're trying to. It's the globalists that are here running our lives. So back to the missing nukes. Go ahead and cue up the CBS one about all the other missing nukes. In fact, I have an article right here dealing with all the different reports of 57 nukes. In fact, we'll pull that up, put it on screen for viewers, that have been accidentally dropped in the ocean that didn't detonate in drills and test. The difference here, there's the New York Times, dozens of atomic warheads lost at sea by superpowers, study says. But that's nothing. That can happen in a set test and then it doesn't detonate. Then you lose it in deep water. This is nukes loaded in 2007, sent down under orders. We don't know who ordered it because people were killed that were ordered to do it. And then to be sent to the Middle East, we know, until security at the base at Barksdale said, no, you're not taking off. Armed security, the guys that guard the weapons, said, these aren't supposed to be here. There is an order. You're waiting till we get orders. And then they said, no, we've been ordered to take off. And they said, no, you're not taking off. This time we learn about what's going on with nukes. And no one will cover it but Michael Savage. Michael Savage covered it on Friday and said that, yeah, they're covering missing nukes and all these top nuke generals are being fired. There's other stuff going on. This is important. It should be looked into, and we appreciate that because Michael Savage terrestrially has like 400 radio stations and we have 160. And most of Michael's are bigger than ours. We're not in competition with Savage, and he knows that. We just care about surviving and having a future just like Savage does. And I've always said, compared to the other talk show host, you can tell Savage actually wants to have a future in a free country. You're not going to hear the others, the other big hosts, and we all know who they are, talking about this stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's all about being a fake neocon, fake right-winger. who just sits there and plays ball with the establishment and doesn't do anything dangerous. Listen, we are in danger because nobody will stand up for themselves. And I'm not picking and choosing here. I mean, I think Glenn Beck's been doing a better job covering the New World Order and false flag terror attacks and FEMA camps and all the stuff he denied 5 years ago. Good. Listen, when I go to bed at night, I don't think who's the biggest talk show host, okay? If I wanted to be a big talk show host, I'd have sold out 15 years ago and played the party tune. I'd already be bigger than all these guys. I'm here on air exposing the New World Order because there's no future if we don't do that. So we salute Michael Savage covering this on Friday. I didn't hear it. I listened routinely. Missed it Friday night. I've got a bunch of calls. People I know heard it, so I know what happened. I was looking for the video, though. It's usually on YouTube, the audio. They put it to video and haven't found it. As soon as we find it, it'll be up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. I called one of our auxiliary affiliated. He doesn't work with us or for us, but he contributes. I called Gucciardi and said, I heard you're in the report. He's talking about you, so will you please go find it and do a report for us because I want to hear it. And again, it's important if 10 million people a day that listen to him hear this, so then it becomes safer for other people to talk about it. It's kind of like we talked about the Navy SEALs first being murdered, then Savage had the courage to talk about it, and then 6 months later, the mainstream media had to cover it. So there's different avenues to get stories out. There's DrudgeReport.com. There's Michael Savage. We put his site up on TV for folks to see that and go to that. There's only a few other avenues that are willing to cover big stories that other corporate media won't cover. I mean, as far as I see it, things like DrudgeReport.com, Michael Savage's radio show, those are a crossover no man's land. They're giant outlets that reach bigger audiences than dinosaur mainstream media, but they're not dinosaur mainstream media. And nobody's perfect. You know, I'm not perfect. Drudge isn't perfect. Savage isn't perfect. The point is that consistently they are willing to cover things that the left and the right both won't cover. And at the end of the day, if we don't cover these things, it's over. I mean, I'll guarantee you, people like Drudge, people like Savage, they're willing to get the threats, the heat, the whatever, talk about liberty. Drudge just carried for 3 days our article about the TSA carries these cryptic announcements about if you laugh at us or question us, we will arrest you. There's no free speech in airports. That's airing everywhere. Drudge picked that up. It's michaelsavage.com. I knew that, but I wanted to double check. That's a good-looking website. We're about to update Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com very, very soon. It's going to be a nice, clean, modern-looking site. They're good sites now, but it's kind of a 7-year-old design. That's all happening right now at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But all of that is a side issue. The point here is that I don't know what's going on with the nukes, but they're sacking all these nuke generals. We're a real outlet that puts out real news. Everybody knows that. We don't make stuff up. So people better look into this. Everybody who cares about their kids, cares about their family, because we could be looking at nuclear blackmail run by Obama and the crime syndicate that controls him. If you just joined us, we've got video up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Riot police use force against elderly vets outside White House. And these veterans are just trying to go protest at the White House. That's a non-free speech zone, folks. I've been there. And these people in UN bright blue uniforms. These are federal riot police in bright blue uniforms come up and start hitting them with metal batons, and like 75-year-old guys are like just ramming the cops up against the wall, and the cops are just groveling around in fear. Just ultra bizarre, but hats off to the World War II vets, right through current veterans and active duty that were out there with them as well. Up against the nanny state weirdos. I mean, you can look, these federal police are like hand-picked trendies. I mean, you can guarantee that these are absolute Obama loyalists. And they're pathetic. I can imagine a real battle with these people. You can tell which side's going to be running real fast because they're all into the fear. If you're not afraid of them, it totally freaks them out. Whereas a real man's only excited if some bully starts a fight that's twice as big as him. That's the only way you even wake up to kick somebody's butt. These little coward types are just not used to people that don't completely grovel to them. A bunch of videos up on Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. But to make a long story short here, people want a talk show host to be able to tell them they know what's going on. And I'm pretty good at figuring out generally what's going to happen with a piece of legislation or something like that. I don't know what's going on with the missing nukes. I know that this was a high-level source told me this. All hell broke loose once it happened. Lindsey Graham said that his state will be nuked, and all this stuff a day after we said it. All these top generals, the head nuke general, the second in command, they're all being removed. Flimsy, the media saying it's suspicious. They're not supposed to say they've even been fired. The Marines are firing all these top people. There's a major shakeup going on. And you've got EBT cards nationwide going down over the weekend and people freaking out over that. You've got the Republicans capitulating to Obama and saying, we'll give you whatever you want. Fine. You can have the debt increases. You can have the total Obamacare. It's all yours. You own it. And Obama says, no, that might endanger our credit. That's the quote. I have the article right here in the Associated Press. If you don't just give me unlimited, just sign a blank check, a permanent debt increase, basically. And they're like, well, we can't do that. That's another piece of legislation. It doesn't matter. My constituents have IQs below very low below room temperature. You will give me what I want, or I'm going to blame the EBT cards not working on you. And basically, Boehner has now completely prostrated himself before the dear leader. And this is the Cloward and Piven plan, which I use Cloward and Piven because it's well known. Socialist kleptocrats always try to implode an economy, an existing system, to destroy the old system to build the new. And in the crisis, they pose as saviors. And Obama is confident that his illegal aliens that are allowed to protest and demonstrate at all the war memorials as veterans are kept out, they're going to vote to take the guns. They're going to vote for socialism. They're going to vote for their free welfare. So are all the other welfare people. And then you've got all the other folks that are on disability for other reasons, and I'm not judging them. The system shut down the factory, shut down the wealth to make you dependent. Now you're dependent, and it doesn't matter if you're going into a meat grinder. You've got to submit to him. You've got to submit to socialism. And so MSNBC announces your kids don't belong to you, they belong to the state in official TV ads. They announce, we're going to give you forced inoculations. They announce, we're going to force feed you GMOs. They announce, we're going to fund al-Qaeda. No humiliation is enough for the American people. This is the destruction of the republic. And now you know why Obama 5 years ago came out and said the #1 enemy is returning veterans and gun owners and libertarians and constitutionalists and in the fetters and Ron Paul supporters and patriots and Aaron Russo and Alex Jones and anybody else that even, if you like a 57 Chevy, if you like Marilyn Monroe, you're on a terror list. And I'm not even joking. Okay? I mean, if you've got a heartbeat, if you don't like thugs, if you don't like criminals, if you don't like gangster government, if you don't like corruption, they've got your number. If you've got a heartbeat and are red-blooded and won't bend over to total tyranny and death camps and mass arrest and collectivization like Ukraine and Poland went under during the Red Terror, you are going to be targeted, period. Doesn't matter if you've gone along with it. They know you've got a subscription to classic cars. That's enough to go to a death camp. You think I'm joking? I'm not kidding. These people want mindless jellyfish with handlebar mustaches and unmatching socks that don't know who they are. That's the future man. That's who inherits the earth. We sent our reporters out last week to Austin, Texas. 14 out of 20 Austinites on video signed a petition to make everyone wear helmets to walk down the street for Obama. They've banned dodgeball. They've banned tag. They've banned running. Now they've banned footballs and all their balls from recess. They've banned everything because they want you as total emasculated, castrated prisoners. Well, that's death anyways. And they know you're going to keep going to work. They know you're going to work 4 jobs if 3 isn't enough to pay money so that big mega bankers can have hundreds of billions of dollars of control, trillions in leverage, tens of billions in their own bank accounts. They know you're going to keep working no matter what they do. They know you'll work hard to pay their paycheck and grovel to them. They know no matter what they do, you're going to be good slaves. The petition we gave Austinites said chumps, chumps, chumps for wearing helmets walking down the street. Compelled helmet use for misfortunate public. And it says chump asked the city of Austin to make it the law to make you wear a helmet and to give you giant fines. And it breaks it. And they all said, they said in pure English, most of them spoke perfect English, like all of them did. They said, yes, I think we should make the public wear it. These are UT graduate students, many of them. University of Texas, they are ready. No matter what the government says, they are ready to follow orders. They love it because they feel powerful through the system. We've sent our reporters out. We've had other contributors go out like Mark Dice, and we say we're going to put gun owners in camps. Every one of them sides. We're going to arrest anyone that supports the Bill of Rights. Yes. We are going to abort babies up to age 3. Every person signs and says, I want to murder babies. I mean, these people are just authoritarian. They're like groveling, pathetic, on their back little weasels who just grovel in their weakness to any form of tyranny. It's like moths to flame. The worse it is, the more they're for it. The more degenerate, the more they're for it. The more absolutely mindless, the more they're for it. Because it's winning to them. They associate, just like some sports team fan goes and pays money and sits in the stand and feels like they're winners because guys are down on a field doing simulated combat. They don't care the real world's going on around them. They don't care that business is real war. They don't care the globalists are waging real economic war on them. They don't care because perception is reality for them, and they feel like they're in control, and they love it. They don't care if there's missing nuclear weapons. They don't care if there's cancer viruses in the vaccines on record. They don't care if the cancer rate's up 3,000% in the last 50 years. They don't care if neurological disorders are off the chart. They don't care if it's been declassified. They put fluoride in the water to brain damage people. They don't care. They're brain damaged. They like it. They want it. They're going to own it. They want it. They have no respect for themselves. And the sooner you realize, folks, they're not to be talked to, they're not to be nice to, you try to warn them, they laugh at you, move on. They don't count. They're dead already. We need the men and women, black, white, Hispanic, old, young, north, south, east, west. I don't care who you are, Jewish, Muslim, agnostic, Christian, atheist, Easter Bunny worshipers. It doesn't matter to me. If you don't want to be a total slave, and if you don't want to be conned and raped, and if you want reality, then you better wake up and research our claims and find out they're true. If you don't want to be a total chump idiot, then wake up to the New World Order, transhumanist, eugenics, global singularity, control grid takeover. Okay? Because let me tell you, 99.99999999999% of you, we've done the math. It's actually 0.000000 something. You're not part of the establishment. The average person, a doctor, a software engineer, a scientist, a manager listening, doesn't think of themselves as a leader to fight for liberty. They don't even imagine the political or corporate system where they would do that. You've got to build that system. You've got to do it in little ways every day or become a slave. Because there are special interests that want to make money off of controlling systems, not off of producing. And so many men I know that are high IQ or intelligent, they just don't have the guts, the spirit, the intellect, or they're so selfish they think, I'll just make money in my own system and stay out of the way and let you fight for my freedom. But now they're learning there's no future for them as well. You either get involved now and stand up, or we're going to go into a nightmare situation. And hey, if you got the money to flee the country and go somewhere else, more power to you. The problem is it's a global kleptocratic system they're setting up. They're going after it. They're trying to shut down Switzerland right now. You're not going to run from this, ladies and gentlemen. At least not for long. The only way is to stand against it. And I understand we've all been habitualized that all conflict is through ritualized fake sports on TV. But no, there's a real world going on. There's real reasons for your male instinct. There's real reasons for your motherly instinct to love your children and to care about others. And folks better get that instinct or bow down and become conscious slaves. I'm just here so that you know there's a choice. Some of the news here. Veterans, again, remove the barricades from memorials and bring them to the White House as tokens to show that they're not going to be blocked from going to the memorials where the illegal aliens are only allowed to dance around and have events. And so, again, we now have footage of the police attacking veterans with batons, and the veterans fought back, and then the green police in UN uniforms then grovel in fear. Here's a Reuters article. Top bankers warn of the dire consequences of U.S. defaults. They've been maneuvering us, like all other countries, in fiat debt towards collapse, but they want an incremental long collapse where they suck us dry slowly, not where we have a chance to see the threat and struggle against it. So one of the world's most powerful bankers warned of terrible consequences of the U.S. defaults in its debt. So the Republicans came to Obama and said, here's everything you want. We give in because your Obamacare is so horrible, you're going to get the blame. And Obama said, I'm not going to sign it. My constituents are dumber than dirt. He actually came out and said, I'm not signing it. You give me unlimited blank check forever on the debt limit. And they said, well, we can't do that. And he said, well, then I'm going to keep it closed. And my controlled media will lie to my moron supporters who think they can't sign up because there's a glitch. Everyone I know has had their insurance double. And all the people thinking that's free, they're learning it's not free. But it doesn't matter. They're all they just love being abused. It doesn't matter. Amid NSA outage, big tech companies plan to track your every move aggressively. That's being reported by Wired. Here's some other news. Special Ops uniform will transform Army commandos into Iron Man Army. It's an actual exoskeleton they're going to wear. And, of course, in the future, if the troops don't take the brain chips, they won't be allowed to be in it anyways. But they'll be the elite cyborg command. Even the head of Google, Schmitty, has come out and talked about that. Oh, and here's another one, Daily Mail. The app that lets you remote control a cockroach, but is it ethical? So it's okay to control you with the iPhone designed to brainwash you, but not the cockroach. And yes, they came out 25 years ago or more with remote control cockroaches with brain chips. But now they have them. Now they have the app that lets you remote control the cockroach. Cockroaches may be considered vermin, but one team of scientists has found a way to keep the pest under control. Remote control, that is. Michigan-based Backyard Brains created an electronic backpack that fits in the cockroach and makes it turn on command using electronic impulses. Yeah, I mean, look what CNN did to the average American. Works really well. Continuing, ladies and gentlemen, with news, The Hollywood Reporter has a really funny article. I thought this was funny because you can look it up. It was MSNBC and others that were caught a few years ago with Nielsen paying for fake ratings. In fact, I forgot to tell you to search that. Go to the NSA database, Google the two-way spy system, and search MSNBC or Nielsen caught in fake ratings. And if memory serves, it'll be MSNBC was the main one with fake ratings. I mean, nobody watches that, but a few drooling sycophants. Here's Hollywood Reporter. MSNBC's president wants investigation into Fox News in possible gain. They wonder how Fox News doubled ratings with putting Megyn Kelly in there over Rachel Maddow. I mean, Rachel Maddow already has one of the lowest audiences out there. Nobody wants to look at a younger Janet Reno, you know, or I don't know if you like bred Janet Reno with, they're doing this now too, like to mix the chromosomes of Janet Reno, Pat from Saturday Night Live, Big Sis, and then put some Elmer's glue into the mix, you would then get a Rachel Maddow. No one wants to look. They want to see a nice feminine lady, even though she's regurgitating neocon propaganda. You know, people still like women, even though you haven't totally destroyed all the sexes yet. But here it is. MSNBC president wants investigation into Fox News in possible rating gain. There it is. Nielsen and Twitter established social TV rating. Now, that was 2012. Type in Nielsen fake rating scandal. I mean, this came out a few years ago. It was MSNBC that was in it. Type in Nielsen caught in fake ratings. I remember the exact headline. Here, let me look. I'll go to the database and look it up. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can do this right now on air. Okay, I'm at the NSA database, Google, two-way spy grid. I get a limited question. It gets to know what I want to look at. Let's look up a Nielsen fake ratings. And, wow, that's weird. I remember when that came out. It comes up with a bunch of videos on web. That is really weird. What is that? That is very strange. It's doing a video search. Doesn't matter. I remember it. I'm going to find it. Type in Nielsen caught in fake ratings. I remember that. Okay. Oh, there's no rigging going on, folks. There's nothing happening. So food stamps go on blink. Glitch shuts down debit card nationwide. Panic. China calls for de-Americanization of the world now that they already own us. It's the globalization. Top bankers warn of dire consequences of USA defaults. Companies, consumers running up record debt. Survivalist businesses booming. TSA loudspeakers threaten travelers with arrest. Can you cue that up? Can we end the show with that? I want to play that for folks. Make a joke, you go to jail. No more First Amendment. Now they're at highway checkpoints. 31 in Florida infected with bacteria from salt water. Veterans storm memorials, bring barricades to White House. Police deploy riot gear. This is all up on drudgereport.com. I'm reading right now. Afghan in uniform fires on American soldiers. Well, they just fired the 2 Marine generals involved in letting the last stuff happen, they claim. Well, they're going to fire the new ones. Why don't we fire the folks that sent us to war there or kept us there for 10-plus years? That's some of the news up on that front. Here is the clip from the good old TSA. This is airing at airports everywhere. Here it is.
Pay particular attention to your luggage and personal belongings.
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Unattended luggage will.
Make jokes to us, we'll arrest you. There's no law, but so what?
Do not be persuaded by strangers or individuals you do not know well to take articles aboard your flight. You are also reminded that any inappropriate remarks or jokes concerning security may result in your arrest. We appreciate your cooperation while these measures are in effect.
By the way, there's a London Independent propaganda piece out saying that scholars claim Jesus was a Roman hoax. Next they'll say George Washington was, or maybe Benjamin Franklin, or maybe Bill Clinton didn't exist. Or maybe, I don't know. Folks, all the Roman historians, the Jewish historians, the carvings, Jesus Christ was a real person, even if you don't believe he's a deity, okay? And this is how dumb they think you are. They tell you Obamacare is free health care, and by the way, Jesus didn't exist. And I've heard I'm lying about missing nukes in 2007. That said London Independent. Am I besmirching them? Did somebody else run that headline? Oh, it's reposted from London Independent. They are the ones that put that out. I usually like the Independent. But by the way, before I end this transmission, we'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing. Pray for us, please. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Pray for peace. Pray for liberty. Pray for an awakening for the American people of the world. But we'll be back, Lord willing, 11 a.m. Central, Infowars.com. Stations in your area, XM 244, you name it. Briefly, InfoWarsStore.com has the great ProPure stainless steel water filters that cut out the fluoride and glyphosates and all the rest of it at InfoWarsStore.com. You can also go to InfoWarsLife.com and find the incredible, highest quality, half the cost, double the potency, nascent iodine that tastes great compared to what you find out there. It's not the toxic type stuff. Just really good, so good from all the research that's out there for the thyroid and the background radiation that's happening. Really hypes up all the other glands, give you the proper hormone releases you need according to the research that I've seen out there. InfoWarsLife.com, and your purchase supports the broadcast. And by the way, we got a big shipment of it back in, so it's not sold out now. InfoWarsLife.com. Great job of the crew. Great job, veterans.